Just the other day, Martin Schwenk, CEO of Mercedes-Benz India, had to get off his super luxurious, super big S-Class Mercedes-Benz car and hop onto a measly little auto rickshaw and reach his office. He was in the thick of traffic and his big car couldn't maneuver its way in that horrible traffic. Well, that's obvious, but suppose he were driving a car like this, the Maruti Suzuki Alto, I'm sure he would have found a way out and reached his office on time. That's the advantage of this Maruti Suzuki Alto, the small car that has been in India for the last 22 years. Yes, it was launched sometime in September 2000, and for 22 years it's done great service to the middle class of this country and brought amazing joy. The Alto, I must say, the first generation was extremely smart looking. Subsequently, when they made a change, it was not that great looking, but now in its brand new looks with brand new changes, it looks smart and it has got some exciting features too. This is the Motown India show. My name is P Tharyan. Stay tuned. The first big change, which is quite apparent, is of course the grille area. It's a honeycomb design here and it's large and it's different. And of course these lights here, these lights continue to be non-LED, both in front and the rear, yet they are quite strikingly designed. And the entire area in front, including the grille and the headlamps, it's got a kind of a smart appeal. The side profile is kind of neat. It's got these body colored handles here for the door. And what has changed here are these R13 tires, and these come with wheel caps or wheel covers. Unfortunately, these continue to be steel and not alloys. Let's see what's there at the rear. The rear too is not really bad. Of course, there's a badging of Alto and the K10, and these rear lights have a new design to it. It's kind of protruding out. Some may like it, some may find it a little obnoxious, but overall a rather neat appeal it has at the rear. I'm seated inside, made myself very comfortable in the driver's seat, and what do I get? Very minimalistic and very simple out here. A neat dashboard, pretty nice, good to feel. The plastic is kind of decent. You have a very nice 7-inch touchscreen here, very bright with a lot of functions which I will explain a little later. Simple buttons, 2 switches here for the power windows. In front, the front 2 power windows, you have the switches here. The rear, of course, is still continues to be manual. So in front you get a very small yet decent sized instrument cluster there with huge digital numbers which talk about the speed. That's the speedometer. Then you have the fuel gauge, and then the gear position, and the odometer. Coming to the steering wheel per se, it's kind of sporty. This is some kind of a brushed aluminium, and it gives a very sporty look to this steering wheel. It obviously cannot be adjusted, and these have basic functions. This is to change the modes, increase the volume, change, search for a new channel. Then this button is of course to mute, and these few buttons are here for voice command, and of course to receive or make a telephone call. So this is, once you've paired your phone, you can use these buttons here. Now coming to the seats per se, they are kind of comfortable. They may not be super luxurious, but yes, it's got fabric here, a very good cushioning, good bolstering on the sides, good back support, good under thigh support, pretty decent for a car of this size and this cost. So a seat per se is pretty comfortable. But what I would have preferred for the top end of even a small car like this is they should have provided adjustable headrests. Now it's time to do away with these integrated headrests in the Maruti Alto. I know it's a lot of cost cutting, but it's time you upgraded yourself, Maruti Suzuki, and be a little more plusher and smarter. Now that I've adjusted my seating, I'm around 5'10", and I'm very comfortably placed to drive. Now I'll hop onto the rear seat to tell you how comfortable they are. I'm sitting at the rear, and I noticed that there's a lot of space for a comfortable drive. Now I'm sitting comfortably here, and look at the knee room here, and of course the back support is also pretty decent. But it's time, Maruti Suzuki, to provide these adjustable headrests so that you don't get a whiplash when it comes to bad braking. So the tendency to hurt your neck is a lot if you have integrated small headrests like this. These make no sense. So Maruti Suzuki, even if you have to increase the cost by 5,000 or 10,000 rupees, whatever, it's time you do that and provide good headrests, because we need to be safe in our car. And as it is mandatory, we have seat belts on either side for the two people seated here, and of course there's a lap belt for the person sitting at center. But when it comes to storage, there is hardly any storage for you. This person here, there's nothing on the door panel here, space cut out here. So there's a teeny weeny space in front. You can keep a bunch of keys or your mobile phone, and the rest you have to risk it by keeping on the parcel tray. And parcel tray, mind you, keeping stuff on the parcel tray at the rear can be extremely dangerous. So best is to put it right on the floor and keep it tucked between your 2 feet. That's what I think is the best way to store your stuff. Don't put it on the parcel tray, because in the case of bad braking or emergency braking or a crash, items kept on the parcel tray can fly out dangerously and hurt you very bad. So refrain from keeping things on the parcel tray there. Coming back to the space, seating wise, kind of comfortable, not super luxurious, but this kind of seating can definitely provide you a comfortable ride. So kudos to Maruti Suzuki. The Alto continues to be a good car and an ideal family car too, especially for the growing middle class in our country. One can really not imagine the kind of space which the Maruti Suzuki Alto provides at the rear in its little boot area. It's amazingly deep and cavernous, and I can actually keep a huge suitcase there, at least 2 of them, and a few other bags. And a typical middle class family will be very excited seeing this huge space. So kudos, Maruti Suzuki, done a great job again with the new Maruti Suzuki Alto. Let me reiterate the fact the Alto comes with an option of both a manual transmission as well as an automatic, and this is an AGS. Maruti calls it the auto gear shift. We've got the top end, the VXI, and this is an automatic one. You also have a manual transmission vehicle, and all these come along with K series 1 liter engine, and that's petrol. So rule number 1, in order to start the car, you have to put your right foot on the brake pedal, and then only can you tweak the ignition key, otherwise this vehicle will not start. So once you've started it in neutral with your foot on the brake pedal, you need to shift it accordingly, whether you want to put it on drive mode or in reverse. So this, if you notice, the transmission lever here has a different kind of setting, unlike the conventional ones where it is in one line. Here you have to move it for drive here, for reverse here, and then if you want to drive in a kind of a manual way, you can upshift, downshift like that, the minus and plus. So that can be boring. The best way to drive is put it on the D mode or the drive mode and carry on. And the moment you stop, remember there is no P here or parking in the automatic, so you have to put it in the neutral gear and raise the lever. This is the handbrake. Manually you have to raise that. So this is a must. Once you put it on the neutral, you have to pull this up, otherwise the vehicle may start rolling. It's in this chock-a-block traffic which is there every other day in cities like Delhi, Bengaluru, Kochi, or any place in India that a car like the Alto makes a lot of sense. Now, there's cars everywhere here, so is there a compromise for me in any way? The air conditioner is awesome, the seating inside is good, the seats are pretty decent, it's comfortable, yet I'm able to find enough space to squeeze out of this traffic. Now that's the advantage of an Alto. So let's first check out the performance of this transmission, the AGS, and do remember the Alto has a 1 liter petrol engine. We're still stuck in traffic. So here I'm off. I've got the green signal and I've slotted this transmission into the D drive, and off I go into the thick of traffic. The advantage of a small car in a country like India is that you can really get out of a mess, and this is exactly what the Alto is doing for me, as it gets out of the mess pretty fast. Now if you see on my right, you see an absolute array of cars. The line is long. Now that's the kind of traffic which is there everywhere. Now if you're sitting in a vehicle that costs more than 1 crore or 2 crores, or whether you're sitting in a car that costs barely around 5 lakh rupees, it means the same. But I can assure you that you will be out of the thick traffic in a car which is of this size. That is the advantage of an Alto. It's a sure-footed car. It's solid in terms of its technology. It's solid when it comes to taking people around. It's solid when it comes to having 4 to 5 members or even more seated in the car. It's solid when it comes to safety. These have got 2 airbags in front, which are mandatory. And there it goes. All I have to tap the accelerator. Speed's already touched 50. And incidentally, that is the speed limit on most of the city roads. It's a different matter that we violate these norms every now and then. There's ample room here also if 2 people were sitting. There's ample distance between the 2 people sitting in front. Even though the car is very small, it's pretty roomy in a lot of ways. And driving this car, it's not that you're going to miss anything. It's so comforting and so practical, and that's what India needs at this time. Cars like this that decongest the road. We all talk about a first car, a second car. In fact, for every family in this country, the first car should be the Alto or some car of this size. Every other car, however big, should be your second or third car if at all you need it. Because if you see on the streets here, most of the time people are driving either single or double, driver and 1 more person. And I'm sure a car like this will not undermine your position at all. But this whole thing about buying cars is based on one's ego. So naturally, you would prefer to buy a big car and tell the world that I've arrived. And in the process of buying big cars, you really don't realize that you are polluting more, you are creating more congestion, more waste, and finally all these things really lead up to global warming. And that's very, very unfortunate. So if I were to tell all of you that the glaciers are melting, you'll give me one of those looks and say, glaciers? Iska kya matlab hua? If I tell you guys the ozone layer is depleting, you'll ask me, ye ozone, ye kya cheez hai? And if I were to tell you global temperatures are rising, you'll say, kahan ka temperature? So it's best that you educate yourself first, feel from your heart that you really love this earth, and that's the only time we can think about buying cars like the Alto and perhaps even get into promoting public transport and subsequently save the earth.